What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're in the shop and we're going to continue working on dead plates here. So if you're new to the channel, this might look just like a part out vehicle, but this is actually a 1978 Cherokee Chief that I'm building for the BleepinJeep Beast Wars competition in October. And you can probably tell by the vehicle, this is a $5,000 limit budget build. And we're gonna be going head to head with our budget builds, trying to see which one's the best. So if you have been following along this build, the last video I installed the gears and the lockers. I went with a 513 and Spartan lockers in the Dana 44s front and rear. So I've got the motor running and I've got it geared, I've got it locked. And since the last video, I did put in new U-joints in the drive shafts, and so they're all in. So now I've got it going. I need to figure out how to make this thing stop because the brakes are absolutely terrible on this. Holy crap. The brakes leak. They don't work half the time. I have to put it in neutral and slam on brakes for it to stop. If I don't put it in neutral, it just pushes right through the brakes. So the reason I have it basically sitting like an inch from the ground is because I wanted to really get in here and look at my master cylinder and my brake booster. So in this video, I'm going to be getting rid of the master cylinder and the brake booster. I've got a brake booster and a master cylinder from a J20. It should be a direct swap on and a huge upgrade because I'm going to a dual diaphragm master cylinder. So I've been kind of soaking all of these nuts and bolts and these flare nuts with PB Blaster, just hoping that they'll break free. I really don't want to do this. I really hate working with brake fluid because it really dries out my hands and I don't know, I just don't like it at all and it gets everywhere. But it's one of those things you just got to embrace the suck and just get to it. So my brake booster came in, but my master cylinder has not come in yet. It's coming in a couple days. I've already put some new parts on the rear drum brakes, and so they're about as good as drum brakes can get. But the front, you can see I've got a leaky caliper right there. So I've got some new calipers, and I got all this from Rock Auto because it was cheapest. And these actually came with, so there's the part number there. And these calipers actually came with the brake shoes, so hopefully this all fits. They look about the same. That's good enough for me. So I think what I'm going to do is now I'm going to start just tearing this apart. And I really don't want to because I really think that these brake lines will be fine, but I'm kind of worried. What I think I'm going to do is just take everything apart and just put an air hose into these brake lines and just try to blow out all of that old nasty brake fluid. Man, this is going to be a very dirty job. So if you've watched my channel over the years, I've had a lot of people comment saying that it's awesome that I never wear gloves. I really don't. I can't stand wearing gloves. But I think today is going to be that exception. Anytime that I work on brake systems and I'm getting brake fluid all over my hands, I do like to wear gloves just because I feel like brake fluid is like the worst of all of the fluids that are on vehicles. So brake fluid is some kind of magical fluid that just draws moisture out. So if you get it on your hands, it will actually seep into your skin and dry your hands out a lot. So whenever you go like get a shower after that, your hands get all pruny real quick. That's because it sucked the moisture out of your hands. And I've also read some stuff where brake fluid can actually get in your blood system and it's like really bad for your liver and your organs and stuff like that. So
you're a doctor.
So before I get into this brake system, I want to give a quick shout out to Chili Water. So if you watch any of my videos in the past or any of my podcasts, the off-road obits, I always have a Chili Water in my videos. So Chili Water is a company that is in my hometown of Kinston, North Carolina. If you've ever been to my shop, I've probably offered you a Chili Water just because they are the absolute best water and the best thing to keep you hydrated in these hot summer days, especially in a non-insulated shop. Holy crap, it gets super hot in here. But I can always depend on Chili Waters to keep me nice and cool and hydrated. So if you live near Kinston, North Carolina, you can actually go pick up some Chili Water for yourself. Or if you live out of town or too lazy to leave your house, you can order chili water online. You can also use my discount code 6 feet under fab to save yourself 20% off these 12 packs. So I'll have a link in the description below if you want to save yourself some money on some chili waters. So shout out to Chili Water for supporting the channel, and let's get to work. So I apologize for my air conditioner noise. It's pretty hot out here, but I got my gloves on, and now we are ready to start taking this all apart. The first thing I'm going to work on are getting these flare nuts for the brake lines off the master cylinder, and I don't have a flare wrench this size, but I should be able to just pop it. So I'm just going to let this, I'm just going to let that kind of drip out. I've got some cardboard on the ground underneath to catch everything. I'm just moving it back and forth just to free it up, because I don't want to twist this brake line and damage that. I want to reuse it. All right. Oh, brake fluid's going everywhere. This is probably not a good idea to wear flip-flops while I do this. That's pretty non-intelligent. I need to figure out something to do with this wiring, because I'm not too happy with that. I just threw the wiring in a kind of a ball just to get it out of the way. That way I can make it to that event, and I just never did anything about it. And also, I have a fuel line coming up right here. Probably need to reroute that. So now I'm actually going to try to take off this master cylinder. I'm using a 9/16. I'm going to save all that hardware. Put that on my hardware holder right there. Now I'm going to bust that other one off on this side. Now I have everything disconnected, and this should come right off. Just like that. Gross. So now I'm going to kind of set this to the side for right now, because now we got to get the booster off. So it has 4 9/16 bolts on the back, and there's really no way I can show y'all because my stupid wires are in the way. But I'm going to bust these loose, and then I'll have to go actually inside the Jeep and disconnect it from the brake pedal assembly. Alright, so I pulled the pin on the inside, and that pin is for it's for the brakes. It's for the actual brake assembly, the brake pedal to meet up with this. So now this should come right out. So that's where it actually hooks up to the brake pedal right there. So now I'm going to thoroughly clean this off right here. Alright, so now we're ready to put on the new brake booster. So I've got the new one right here, and it looks to be in a lot better condition. Man, the frogs are really loud tonight. Y'all hear them on the camera? I don't know if y'all can hear all these crazy frogs like right outside my shop. It sounds like the Budweiser commercial.
Budweiser.
It looks like it's going to bolt right up. The only issue that I see is that these are a lot longer than the original one that I took off. And those look like they're stamped in there, so I don't know if I could take the other ones out. But I may just have to cut these down with a grinder, but we're going to test it and see how much it's off. Alright, so something's stopping it. Okay, so I've got these kind of clearanced a little bit, and then I re-threaded them. So now this should go on just fine. So we've got plenty of thread engagement on the back side. So now, and these studs and these nuts are way bigger than what came off from the original part. So now I'm going to get these on. I have this all installed, and then I hooked it up on the inside of the Jeep. I just pushed the pin in and then stuck a cotter pin and a washer on it to hold it. So Now it is fully seated and it is connected to the brake pedal inside of the Jeep. And now this kind of sucks because my master cylinder isn't coming in until Monday. And today's Saturday, so I gotta wait 2 days, or 1 day, however you want to look at it, until I can put it on. But I think me and the frogs are gonna call it a night. It's actually my birthday today, so I really just want to get inside and just forget about this Jeep for a couple of hours and forget about the fact that my parts hadn't come in. But if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button for my birthday. I would really appreciate it. That'd be the coolest birthday gift that anybody could get me, except for these flip-flops that my mom got me. Thanks, Mom. I got some Jerusalem cruisers.
The next day.
It is a new night in the shop and my parts still haven't come in, and I don't really feel like putting on those calipers before I put on that master cylinder. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to turn my attention to this rear suspension. In the video where I put these leaf springs from SkyJacker in, I don't know if it's this Jeep or the brackets that were welded on. I don't know if those are factory. I don't know if the brackets that the leaf springs are bolted into are in the factory location, but whenever I put the tire on, and even before I put the SkyJacker springs, look how far that axle is forward. That axle needs to be like right here, and it's right there. Someone in my comments suggested that I just flip the leaf springs around, kind of give it a longer wheelbase, and I really like that idea. I've done that in the past with some like YJs, and I've actually done it on a couple of Cherokees too, just to give them a little bit longer wheelbase. Or I did them on something. But I think that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna take this suspension all out in the rear, and then I'm going to flip these leaf springs around and see where this axle lands. And another thing that is really concerning is that if you look real close, I know it's dark, but right there, my drive shaft is bottomed out, just sitting there. So I don't know why it's doing that. I don't remember it being like that before, but I really didn't pay much attention to it. My axle is definitely too far forward, and my drive shaft is paying the price right now because it is basically bottomed out when the suspension is drooped. I'm worried that I'm just gonna like launch this thing, or the suspension is gonna fully droop, and then my drive shaft is just gonna try to push to the transfer case and grenade my transfer case. So I definitely have to get this axle back somehow. So I think that's what I'm gonna work on. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop this leaf spring and drop this axle and go from there. Probably gotta clean up a little bit first. So as you can see, I have the leaf spring all the way out, and the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this shim around. So with leaf springs, you really want the pinion, you want it clocked down away from the, you want the drive shaft and the pinion angle clocked down about 1 or 2 degrees away from the transfer case. That way you can accommodate for any axle wrap or anything like that. So I think with these, it was pretty much spot on where I want it, or where it's gonna just have to be. But so now I'm going to loosen this up. I'm not gonna take it all the way out, and then spin this around and see where we're at. So I've got everything flipped around, and that was kind of a chore. I was fighting the drive shaft. I had to take that out. It's definitely not long enough now. So you can see where the axle is now, and it's further back that way, which I like. I kind of like the stretched look of it. But it has also introduced a lot more, well, a few more problems, I'll say. So my drive shaft is like now 4 inches too short, and I think my shocks are gonna bottom out now. But I think what I'm gonna do now is get the tires on and put it down on its own weight and see what it looks like. All right, here it is. So I'm pretty pumped about the wheelbase stretch. I think that looks pretty cool, and I'm gonna definitely have to do some cutting back here. My shackle is resting on the shackle mount, and that's not cool. So definitely have to figure it out now. Yeah, just in case you're new to leaf springs, you want this shackle at this angle back here. And mine is all the way forward. So that is not good. And then my drive shaft is still way too short. So it is 2 days later. Today is Tuesday. And I think the last I recorded it was Sunday or Saturday or something. But my slave cylinder, or my master cylinder, still hasn't come in yet. Apparently FedEx has lost it. Yeah, it's kind of messing up my video isms. So I think I'm just going to continue working on this rear suspension. Do y'all have issues when y'all order stuff through FedEx? I feel like they've really gone downhill, but I don't know. But I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to take this Cherokee leaf spring mount and make it work for a full-size Cherokee. I don't know exactly what is going to take for this to work, but we're just going to make it happen. And I apologize about my messy shop. Sick. That's pretty close, ain't it?
Dude. I feel like right there's it'll go through the hole.
But once we put the weight on it, you know, it'll shift back. All right, so up underneath the Jeep here, what I did was I just grinded everything down to bare metal, and then I painted this with some Steel-It. I think what I'm gonna do is whenever I put this mount in, I'm going to use bolts and weld it. But basically what this does is it just slides up. So this is where that shackle was before, and this is just gonna slide up, and then those bolts are gonna kind of hold it right there. And then I'm gonna take the factory bolt, shove that in. I'll just kind of hold it. Now I'll just take some beefy washers, throw that up there. And so on XJs, this will lift it up, what'd you say, about an inch and a half. So I think it's gonna be taller in the rear after I do this, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back and just like I did in the front, I'm probably gonna maybe take out one of those overload springs and adjust the ride height like that. And because I'm doing that, I'm kind of introducing myself to more of a axle wrap hazard. So I'm probably gonna have to put like a traction bar or an anti-wrap bar in here. That way I don't just keep breaking my drive shaft. But so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do get this tightened up and get it where we want it. And I may put a tack weld or two on it, and then do the same thing to the passenger side, and then we'll set it down on its own weight and kind of just see where it's at. So we've got these all tacked on and they're ready to install. We found some extra bolts because, you know, obviously we got to find another one, but they are at the same degree. They're not tightened up, and of course they're not fully welded yet, but they're on good enough where we can lower the suspension down and just kind of see what angle the leaf spring shackle will be. All right, so here is the Jeep on its own weight. I did throw the tires on the front just to see what my ride height and everything is going to be. It's a little picked up in the rear, but I got Patrick to stand in the back and just to imitate weight like I'll have like for supplies and recovery tools and everything like that. I'm gonna have like an off-road jack. So I'm gonna have a lot of weight in the back. So I think I need to leave it a little tall in the rear. That way it'll just kind of settle down whenever I got all my stuff in the back. Of course, you know, with the gas tank and everything like that, because I don't think there's barely any gas in this thing right now. But I'll kind of show you what we got going on. So you can see my shackle angle is 1,000 times better than what it was. And I don't have this welded yet. So I've got all the bolts in. I don't have anything tight, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come in here and probably just beat that down so that way I don't have much of a gap to fill. And I'm just gonna weld it right there. I'm probably going to make a plate that goes right there and just weld it here, weld it there. And then on the inside, I may actually put one of these gussets from Barnes, like right there. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, put that right there and just kind of weld it on the back side. Just pretty much weld everything so that it's super strong and super solid. But man, I feel 1,000 times better about the rear of this Jeep. I probably am gonna have to get another drive shaft built just because that one is like 10 inches away from where I need it. And I feel like I could weld my own drive shaft, but I think I'm just gonna order one just to know, just for the peace of mind. I'm getting close to the $5,000 budget. I think right now I'm around 4,400, 4,500, somewhere in that ballpark. So I do have a little bit to play with. Like if I get a drive shaft built, I think that'll be okay. But man, this thing looks so much better. Kind of back out a little bit. I need to clean my shop too. I get like, whenever I get involved in something like this, I just completely forget about cleaning up and just destroy everything. So I think now what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna bore y'all with the welding of all this. I'm just gonna weld it and probably clean up my shop a little bit, and then I'll check back in with you. All right, so it is the next night, and let me show you what I got. So I did clean up a little bit, and let me show you how I got these mounts on. Here it is. So I did get the bolt all the way through, and I ended up just welding the bolt. So this weld right here was here when I got the Jeep. So I believe there was a shackle flip done in the past, but what I did was everywhere that contacted anything, I just double welded it. So that's probably why my welds kind of look like Gorilla welds, but I know they'll be good and strong. They're just kind of ugly. And I did put a gusset right there. I know it's kind of dark. I did put a gusset right there, and that way it ties into the frame. I did end up putting bolts through it also. I'll show you right here. So I got the bolts right there, and then I couldn't really get a bolt in right there, so I just did a rosette weld, and then I found a piece of metal, and you can see I welded it right there. So yeah, now you can see where I got my welds right there. And I did the same thing on this side. I've got double passes there. There's that previous weld. And then I got another gusset, welded it up. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. It's not perfect, but I think it'll work. And you probably might not notice, but I did cut this really ugly body mount piece. I don't really know what it was. I think it was just a support bracket. I got all that cut off, and just because it was all rusty, and I thought about plating it up, but I don't know, it's just all rust, and I'm really tired of welding to rust. But overall, I'm pretty tickled with how this turned out. I did have to call FedEx today and be like, yo, where's my package at? And they were like, oh, it should have been there on Friday. I was like, well, it's Wednesday and y'all still haven't sent it. They were like, it'll definitely be there tomorrow. So hopefully that master cylinder will come in, and then I can pretty much wrap up this video and go ahead and finish the brakes, because that is really getting on my nerves, because that's messing up my whole schedule for my next video. And FedEx really sucks. But anyway, but it did give me the motive to go ahead and do this, so I guess, I don't know, there is a silver lining in everything. I don't know. So here's everything sitting on its own weight. I've got the flashlight shining on my new mount, and I feel like that looks 1,000 times better. Kind of back up, kind of give you an overview here. It also looks 1,000 times better now that I cut that rusty body piece off. Man, that looks really cool. And it's like functional. I just hope it flexes okay. So the only thing I'm worried about in the rear is this tire coming in contact with this fender. I really don't want to cut these fenders off just because that is a buttload of work, and it'll probably just end up being super ugly. Not that I'm super worried about it being ugly, but I don't know. I just kind of like these full fenders in the rear. So what I may do is just kind of trim up the inside. So hopefully when the tire comes up and flexes, it will just kind of go on the inside. So I could cut like right here, or I could even cut this line right there. But I'm not going to do anything until I can actually field test this thing and flex it out and see what it's going to do suspension wise. But that's pretty much all I can do tonight. Tomorrow night I better have that slave cylinder right here in my hand. I'm going to lose my mind. Holy crap. So hopefully I'll have the cylinder in my hand tomorrow night. All right, so look what finally came in. And this is the exact way that it came in. All I did was I cut it right here just to make sure that the slave cylinder was in there. But check it out. This is the condition that FedEx dropped this off. Like I said, all I did was take a razor blade and cut it right here. Come on, FedEx. Y'all can do better than that. I promise you, this is exactly how it came. I promise, I did not open this or make it or damage it to make it look worse than it is. This is exactly how it came, just like that. And hopefully this is all in here and it's not like beat up. Hold on, let me put the camera on the tripod. And Pickle's here tonight. Hey, Pickle. Are you gonna help in the shop? What's all over your face, brother? All right, so let's open this up and see what we got. The plastic had wear marks in it from, I guess, just rolling back and forth. Well, luckily this is the cast metal one, or cast steel, and it's not the plastic one, because I feel like if it was a plastic one, it'd be in a million pieces right now. I guess we can try to get this thing on, because it doesn't look to be too damaged. Got the new master cylinder. Now let's see if it'll actually go on. That was very rewarding. Now I gotta take the nuts and put on here. That. There's one on this side. So now all I have to do is get these to thread in. Anytime that I work on brake systems and I'm getting brake fluid all over my hands, I do like to wear gloves just Alright, so I've got both of these tight, I've got those two nuts tight, and that's pretty much it. So now the next step is to fill this up with brake fluid, bleed the brakes, and the brake system will be all done. Man, that looks way better than it did before. See, I've got all the new calipers on. Sweet. I did check the brake lines and they weren't leaking or anything like that. So I think we're good with those. So now I can pretty much mark the brakes off of my list right there. So that's probably going to do it for this video, guys. I really appreciate y'all watching me figure out the rear suspension and putting the brakes on. I still have a lot of work to do to this Jeep. I still got to bleed the brakes, but it's really only me and Pickle in here tonight, and he can't really press the brake pedal like I need to bleed the brakes like I'd like to do it. So if you don't mind, hit that like button and make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any further content on Dead Plates here. I will be beating this Jeep on the trails very shortly in October, so if you want to see that, definitely stick around. You can watch it on my channel and you can also watch it on BleepinJeep's channel. But anyway, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
You're still here?